In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make homemade gnocchi, but I'm also going to show you how to make homemade pesto, and it's all going to come together to make a delicious pesto chicken and creamy kale gnocchi. And first up, we're going to make the gnocchi. I'm making a double batch here, so it might look like I'm making a little bit more, but I just want to stock up my freezer. But the quantities I'm giving you are going to be the perfect amount for this recipe. Place 500 grams of a floury variety of potato, that could be a Maris Piper or a King Edwards, into a saucepan and cover it with cold water. Then season it with a pinch of salt. And then we'll place that over the heat and bring them to a boil. Simmer for around 30 minutes or until the potatoes are completely cooked through. Once they're cooked, remove them from the water and place them onto a cooling rack. This is to allow the steam to evaporate and to steam dry completely. Once they're cool enough to handle after around 10 minutes, you can then peel away the skins. Before pushing the potato through a potato ricer, or if you don't have one like me, you can push it through a fine sieve into a mixing bowl using a scraper or a spatula. Gradually add in 100 grams to 150 grams of flour. The amount can vary depending on how much moisture is actually in the potatoes, but you don't want the mixture to be too sticky, so add more flour if you need to. And also add in 5 grams of a fine salt. Mix it until it comes together to form a nice light dough, but don't overwork it because we don't want it to be gluey and sticky, because that'll result in tough rubbery gnocchi. Flour your work surface and place your dough onto it. Then you can divide it up into smaller pieces and roll the smaller pieces into thin sausage shapes, and then cut them into 1 centimeter pieces. Place the gnocchi pieces onto a baking tray, sprinkled with some flour. Semolina or rice flour works really well. This is to stop them from sticking to the tray and sticking together. You can then place them in the fridge for around half an hour to firm up before we place some ridges on them using a fork. To create the ridges, take a fork and then take a piece of gnocchi. If it's a bit sticky, dust it in some flour or semolina again, and then just gently roll it down the fork. This is going to create some lovely ridges for the sauce to stick to. Next, we're going to make a classic pesto, and to do that, place 40 grams of basil leaves into a food processor, and then 25 grams of pine nuts. Now you can toast the pine nuts here if you want to, like me, just in a frying pan, or you can even do this in the oven. And this is just going to add a greater depth of flavour. Place in 25 grams of grated parmesan, 75 ml of olive oil, and 1 clove of garlic. Blend your pesto to your desired coarseness. Some people like it really coarse and some people like it smooth. That's entirely up to you. And if you don't want it too thick, you can always add in a little bit extra olive oil to get it to your desired thickness. Check the seasoning and season to taste with salt and pepper. Transfer it into a bowl and set it to one side, ready to use later. Now that the pesto is done, we'll move on to preparing the chicken and making the sauce. Take 2 chicken breasts, trim off any of the nasty bits, and then cut each one into 5 or 6 equal sized portions. Then season them on each side with salt and pepper. Place a frying pan over medium-high heat and drizzle in a little bit of oil. Once it's hot, place in your chicken pieces and sear them on each side, roughly for around 2 minutes on each side or until golden brown. They won't be cooked through completely at this stage. Don't worry about that because we'll finish cooking them in the sauce later on. Remove them from the pan and place them onto a plate. Turn the heat to low and then add in most of the pesto, keeping a little bit for garnish at the end later. Cook the pesto for 1 minute, allowing it to heat up and release all of those beautiful flavours, and then pour in 400 millilitres of chicken stock. Turn the heat back up, bring it to a boil and simmer it for around 5 minutes. Now pour in 150 millilitres of cream, bring that up to a simmer and simmer it for another 5 minutes to begin to thicken up. At this stage you can place a large pan of salted boiling water on the stove and bring that to a boil too, ready for cooking your gnocchi. Then place in 40 grams of curly kale and add the chicken back into the pan. Leave it to simmer for another 5 minutes, and while that's happening you can add your gnocchi into the boiling water, and you'll notice that it'll sink to the bottom, and as they start to float to the top, that means they're cooked and they're ready to transfer into your sauce. This should take around 2 to 3 minutes. Place the gnocchi into the sauce and stir everything through together. And now we're ready to serve. Spoon it into a serving bowl or onto a plate, and then finish it with a little bit more pesto, some fresh basil leaves, and some more pine nuts. And again, you can toast these if you want. This will generously serve 2 people, or make 4 slightly smaller lunch-sized portions if you like. So that's how I make this homemade gnocchi with creamy pesto chicken sauce. And you know what? I'm really happy with this one. It tastes absolutely fantastic. It tastes all those base flavours of a good pesto. It's just absolutely delicious. You really need to try it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.